Okay, it looks like this wooden crate will have to do. You know, it almost looks big enough for both Rose and Jack. Go figure. Groovebuilders, welcome to the workbench. We have our Titanic and some classic Metal Earth packaging. I mean, take a look at this. I don't think we've had one of these on the show in quite a while. Really awesome. Groovers, let's go ahead and take a look at the back. On the back, we get a brief look at our model, followed by a QR code which we can scan to get a 360 look at our build. This comes in handy when we're putting little bits of detail on, and we want to know what orientation to place them. Then, just below, we have some information on the Titanic and the history. Really cool stuff. And finally, at the bottom, we get a look at some other models in the series. Groovers, let's go ahead and open up our package. We have our yellow instructions, and we have our metal. And take a look at this. I mean, this is definitely one of the older models that Metal Earth has offered, but even still, really detailed. Groovers, let's go ahead and get our first couple of parts. And there we have it, all of our parts needed for that first page of building. Now let's go ahead and grab part 1 here, and let's take a quick little look at it. Now, with all of our metal models, they do require a little bit of shaping, and with our boats, they're really no different. Now, if you look at the actual sheet themselves, you'll see that this part here has almost like a rounded shape, and the back here is almost rounded as well. Now, my suggestion is to go ahead and kind of get a little bit of shaping on the front, and the reason why I'm saying that is it will actually help you get everything together. So we know this front part here is going to be bent, so what we're going to do is use our finger and just kind of lightly do this. Nothing crazy. And that's going to help us a little bit. Now, if you don't want to use your hand, you can actually use tools around your home, like this spoon here, for instance. I've been telling people a long time to use a spoon, and you know, a spoon is actually a really good way to get a nice, even shaping. And because we're almost trying to get this shape with a spoon, it actually works out really well, just like I did there. Now, the same thing with the other side. Just make sure that when you're doing this, you're shaping the right side. Otherwise, you're going to have a little bit of an issue. See? Just by rolling the part like that, we get a nice little curve. And it works great when you do it this way. Now, let's put our spoon to the side here, and we can take our ship and take a look at it. Woo! Now, I know it looks a little sharp, but don't worry. It will make sense in a moment. We're going to grab part 3 here. You'll notice when we look at part 4 correction, there's like a step that we need to do. Now, I do believe these are 90-degree bends, and if they weren't, my suggestion would be to actually match this up to our pieces here and bend them in place. It just makes things a lot easier. But because these are 90-degree bends, we can go right to the edge and just bend them like that. Very simple, very easy, especially if you have these long detailed tweezers. Now that we got this in place, we can go ahead and attach it on. Now, mine's bent a little bit over there. Just going to do that. Very nice. The front of our ship. Oh, look at that. It's beautiful. Beautiful. And what I'm going to do, I think, first is maybe put these guys together. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to twist them. The reason why I'm going to twist these tabs first is because I don't want to keep playing with them like I am right now, and I got a feeling I might be doing that. So there we go. Now they're together, they'll hold together at least, and I can put my detail in place. Now make sure you're putting these in the insertion holes and not in any of the details along the side of your ship. Now, if you're having a hard time getting your tabs in, kind of like I am right now, that just means that this area here probably wasn't bent enough or was maybe over bent. So you might have to go back here and just kind of bend things the way you need to get everything in place. Okay, that looks pretty good. And now that I got that attached in there, we can go ahead and add the second piece here, this guy right here. Just like before, kind of matching our tabs into place. Just make sure that you're actually putting them into a tab area and not into a window. It's actually a lot easier than you're thinking. A lot easier than you might think. Okay, there we go. That looks awesome. And now what we're going to do with this back here is the same thing we've done with the other side. We're going to go right to the edge, and then we're going to bend it. Now be very careful. You don't want to accidentally bend the deck. As I just saw there, it's actually very easy to do. So be a little bit careful of that. There we go. There we go. Our Titanic is coming along, if you ask me. Now let's move on to our next piece here, which is part 3. And part 3 is our deck. Now this is very simple. All we're going to do is go around here and just bend all of these edges, just like that. And because this is one of the older Metal Earth models, it's not as intricate as some of the other ones have been. You don't have as much to bend. Oops, you know what I will do though? I bent this out of sequence. Bend this down, grab this here, like that, make them 90 degrees, and then we grab the bigger piece. Same thing with this side here, grab the bigger piece. Like this. And we're going to bend this guy like this, and now we bend that side piece in. Okay, like that. Bend it back. There we go, nice and straight. Now we're going to go ahead and grab part 7 here. All we need to do with this piece here is kind of follow the detail as we go. Now we could just check our orientation of our piece like this, and then place it into place and bend it as we go. This would be a very easy way to do things. Just like this is what I mean. So you place it in place and you can kind of see, okay, I need to bend right here, and you bend it like this, and you gotta know you got another 90-degree bend there as well. If this is too hard for you though, you can always take it out like I just did, and then just kind of get the generic shape like this, and then bring it back to the part, of course, again on the right side, and this way it's a lot easier. See? Now, I went ahead and shaped this part. If you want to be even, make this even easier on yourself, don't shape part 5. Wait till the end. And the reason why is it makes it a lot easier for you to be able to grab the tabs that I'm grabbing right now. Now, when we're securing any bit of detail, it's very important when we're twisting tabs that we twist the opposite direction for each one. So if I twist this one clockwise, I'm going to twist this one counterclockwise. And the reason for that is we want to make sure that all of our pieces don't wiggle. We want a really nice straight connection on all of our parts. Okay, just that. And now let's grab 7. Same thing as we just did here, but on the other side. Fantastic. That looks great. Now we can move on to part 8. Now part 8 is actually pretty easy to form too. What I recommend doing is taking one side like this, and then take the center here, and we're going to bend this over just like this. And what we're going to do is we're going to use that one side there as a guide to tell us how much we actually need to bend this piece. Like that. And then once we got a good shaping, or think we have a good shaping, we can bring that other side over. And then this, I think, goes straight down. Just like that. Perfect. There's one, and now we do another one here. Cool, there's part 8. Now part 8 gets attached on here as well, but before I do that, what I want to do is form part 9. Part 9 is a pretty simple little triangle. My recommendation with any of our detailed pieces, we want to slightly bend these little tabs here on the end. That will make everything a lot easier for you. Just like that. There we go. Nice bit of attachment there. Now we're going to put these guys on, and we want to make sure that we're putting them both facing the correct direction. All right, now we got that detail on. We just gotta straighten it up a little bit and make sure that it matches. That's how you get that really nice museum quality you hear so much about. I think that looks really good. Now we can put this down to our side and begin work on the infamous stacks. Now these stacks, guys, are pretty simple to do, especially if you have something like a really kind of thin pencil to help you here, or maybe a metal straw around your home. Those things are really good to help you here. But what I like to use is a forming tool. These guys here are called mandrels. And what they do is they have a different size for every single kind of size you might need in terms of bending things into cylinders. So let's go ahead and keep these guys out for a moment here. And what we're going to do is we're going to keep the patterns here, these lines on our pieces. We're going to keep the lines on part 12 here on the outside. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to start bending on a bigger surface and then work my way down to a smaller one. And the reason for this is to make sure that everything stays nice and uniform and every part of our metal gets bent. So that's actually a perfectly good size. I'm gonna use my bigger mandrel here to help me do all this. So there we go. See, I'm really pressing hard, and I could even go less here and get even better shaping. But it's really important that we put as much pressure as possible getting like this last little part here. There we go. And there we go. Okay, now really pressing hard on here. Excellent. All right, there are our stacks. Now our stacks actually need to be, they also have like a little bit of detail on the top. This is part 10. And part 10 we're going to bend the same way. We're going to start on the bottom. Now it looks like I have a little bit of detail there, or a little burr there. Let's get that out of the way. Again, same thing. Go around. Now this one looks like it's going to be significantly smaller. Not significantly, actually. Probably this guy right here. Yeah, this is going to be too small. But I will roll it around here, and that's just to get a really good shaping. And you'll see what I mean at the end. We won't have like a little bit of like a diamond area or like a teardrop kind of shape at the end. We'll have a really nice cylinder shape. All right, and there we go. We got all of our stacks here kind of formed. Now we're gonna just play with them a little bit to get them completely cylindrical, and then we're gonna put them together. And I'm gonna show you how we do this. This is actually really easy, but a lot of fun to do. Oop, don't wanna lose a part down the crate there. Okay, so here we go. We got our piece here, right? We're gonna grab one of these guys here. Now, you know what? Let's go ahead. Let's go ahead. I am going to try to hide these tabs. So let's do this and bend these guys straight down. Okay, other side, straight down. And then we're gonna press these guys almost together. And if you did it correctly, you should almost have like a locking mechanism, almost like I have here. It might look a little bit different. One of my tabs is not in here completely, but once they both go in, you should be able to secure these tabs actually really easily. This is a very good way to attach tabs. It doesn't always work. And if you do this, you do have to know that later on down the road, when you go to actually secure these tabs in their proper place, you might have a hard time because there's a little bit of overlapping metal right there. And it may not look like a big deal right now, but later on down the road, it becomes something more. Okay, now that we got this in here, we can go ahead and attach it to this piece here. The stack actually goes on the outside, so let's go ahead and attach the little bit of detail here first. Like that. Okay, there's our stack right there. So now what we're gonna do is just take this like this, bend her over, like that. And we know that both of those are in the right spot and the tabs are out of the way of the other insertion holes. Now we're gonna grab this guy right here and we're gonna place them like this. Actually, they're gonna put it on, it looks like it goes like this, so. I think that looks good. Yeah, you see how it all lines up? That's because the upper part here has a little bit of an angle that slants, just like this. And if you're not careful, both of these won't be slanted correctly. So make sure that when you're attaching both part 10 and 11 and 12, that they're all facing the same way. All right, now that we got one of these guys done, we got 3 more to go. Let's go ahead and fast forward to where they're already complete. Okay, and there we go, our last stack. That was pretty straightforward and really simple. Now the key here is to make sure that we're placing these all in the right direction. I really can't say this enough. You don't want to attach them and have to take them apart every single time because you put them on the wrong way. So always make sure you're placing these in the right orientation. Now our vents here are going to be facing this way, going towards the left-hand side. And our lean is going to be back towards the right-hand side. So let's go ahead and just put these in place. Now your tabs might be a little bit finicky. If you don't have 2 pairs of tweezers, you could always just bend one slightly in like this, and then when you go back to place it onto the ship here, you place the straight edge first, and then you place the bent edge, and that will get you your piece in, just like that. Really simple, eh? Okay, there we go. Now everything is lined up the right way. This is going to be part A. And so we're going to put that to the side now and now work on part B, which is involving part 13. That's this guy right here. Now before we go and bend all the sides, we're going to go ahead and attach this guy on. Now we need to make sure that we have this again in the proper orientation. So looking at the top here, we can see that you can either go like this or we can go like this. And judging by the box that's going to be on that front part there, we need to go like this. So we're going to take our piece, and with the windows in the back, we are going to make sure the lean is going back on the right hand side. And now with these guys, because I twisted them, I'm also going to bend them towards the middle, and that's going to get them out of the way of all the detail we're about to be bending down. Now let's go ahead and do that. Let's bend this detail down. Let's grab the windows there and this little side piece, bend that down as well. There we go. Just going all the way around the model. There we go. And there is B. Really nice and simple. Okay, now let's move on to C. Pretty easy too. We're going to grab these big guys down here. And what we're going to do with this now is kind of make a square out of it. It's really straightforward. You can see there's little lines, and that is where we're going to bend this piece here. Make sure you don't accidentally bend a window. Like I said before, with these kinds of pieces, it's a lot easier to do than you might think. See, I've already almost got a bend there that shouldn't be there in place. There we go. There we go. And now we put the smokestack in the center here as well. Now with this one, it really doesn't matter which way it goes because everything is identical on all sides. Okay, there we go. Our last little smokestack all done. This is part C, and now we got to attach these kind of guys onto something a little bit bigger. That's this guy right here. This is part 16. Has these little wings here. Now we're going to do first attach part A. And again, I think it's important to say, you got to make sure that we're putting these into the right areas. My one side here is correct, but my other side is not. So we're going to have to pop this out and place it into the right spot. Okay, and there is part A attached on the 16. Now we need to put parts 7 and 18 together and do the same thing. Let's go ahead and take a look at that. Alrighty, and now with this one here, we're doing the same thing as we've done before by going around and bending all the detail down. But before we do that, let's go ahead and attach that little bit of detail that's going to be a little harder to get on later. Now this one here is very simple. It may look a little difficult. We're just making a square. So we go around, find those little bending edges, and there we go. 90-degree bends. Now these might be tricky because they're so thin, but once you get one or two of them in, the rest of them should follow. There we go. Now this little bit of detail we can straighten up a little bit. We don't want any diamond shapes. We want a square just like that. Looking really good. And now we got that piece down, we can go ahead and bend all this little detail. Again, just going right to that little edge and then bending. It's very important. If you don't go to that edge, sometimes you can warp the piece. Whoops, see that? Went way too fast. And now that we have this, we can go attach this on. And now, the thing is when we start adding pieces like this, which are very close together, it can be tricky sometimes to get the tabs to go into their zones because you're actually pushing against some metal that might be in the way. What I find is if you go and attach the tabs that are closest to the detail first, that's already been attached, it makes life so much easier to get everything in its place. And there we go, all in. Now we can go back here and just secure all these tabs down. And again, I'm going to bend these kind of out of the way. I don't want to have any of the tabs accidentally prevent me from putting future pieces in. So by bending them out of the way, I know for a fact they're not going to be a problem. There we go. Awesome. That looks great. Now that we have that in, we can put B in here. That's that little one here. And again, let's put that tab in closest to the detail here first. And now we can go on and move on to adding part 9 and 19 together. Just like before, these are tiny little boxes. Now with part 9, we bent this earlier. Remember, we want to build that triangle, and then we want to bend both of these tabs down on either side. And that's just going to make things easier for us. I'm glad that I can be quick about this. I mean, with the Titanic sinking soon, I don't want to be on it. And again, just bending this detail all out of the way of one another. I don't want to have any issues with the detail kind of not being secured correctly. So there we go. Looking good, looking good. All right, now we can attach our last piece here. This is part 20 before we need to go get more parts. Again, just going around to these little edges here. Excellent. And now this little piece here gets attached on the back end, and let's see here. It's like a little box. Or possibly a vent of some kind to the downside. I don't think that would be what this would be on the Titanic, to be honest with you. I should look at some pictures. Excellent. Okay, we got all of our parts here on, but now we need more parts. And there we have it, all of our parts needed for the Titanic. Now, let's go ahead and grab part 21 here and begin bending down the sides, creating another box. These crates are making it really hard to grab the pieces, I'll tell you that. There we go. There we go. Nice, simple little box there. Okay, place that down. Now, let's go ahead and attach C on here. And again, we're just going to make sure that all of our pieces and our smokestacks are all in the right direction. Can't explain I really can't say that enough, how important that is. Okay. Very cool. Very, very cool. Now we can put that little box that we made. There we go. Excellent. That looks really good. And now that we've got this bent up, we actually need to go around and bend some more detail. Starting with this window right here, we're going to bend this straight up. And then we're going to bend these guys back just by pushing them ever so slightly. Great. And now we can go over here and we bend these guys down 90 degrees. Just like that. Perfect. See? Easy peasy. Now let's grab part 25 here. In part 25, we're going to go and we're going to just bend down this detail and we're going to match it up the best we possibly can. And what I do is I bend it in one long piece and then go to the border and follow the border of this piece all the way around until I can't follow it anymore. And that's how I know I get a perfect shaping. And what I'm going to go ahead and do is just straighten this out a little bit because this is a little bit bad. There we go. Okay, so we're going to secure this piece with a nice twist, and we're just going to make sure that we're doing counterclockwise movements as we're securing this piece. That way, again, we have no movement. All right, bend these back windows here. Okay, that looks pretty good. Let's put that down now. We can move on to part 23. 23, 24, same thing as we've done before. Oh, it rhymed. We're going to be putting everything on top. Just making a simple little box here. Great. Grab part 24 here as well. Okay, looking good. Now this one has a very skinny piece here, so let's make sure you grab all of the metal as much as you possibly can in your tweezers, and that way everything kind of levels out correctly. Now that we have that here, we can attach this onto the back. Or maybe this is the front, actually. I don't know why I keep saying it's the back. It's the front. And there we go. Go out to the other side here. And we're going to push on this while we're doing this as well. The reason why we're pushing on it is we want to get as much of this in the bend as possible so our tabs all line up and there's no gaps. We don't like gaps. We're on gaps, people. We're on gaps. That looks great. Let's put that down now and go over here and grab our other part. And this guy here, same kind of thing we've done before. Let's bend these long pieces first. And then bend this front piece and the details. And now with that done, cut back over and we can put this on to our ship. There we go. All right. I think everything here is lining up really well. I'm hoping so. You know, things could still go a little bit awry. So we're not out of the woods yet. Let's see if we can get everything in here. And actually, now we're going to be attaching this onto the ship. And this might be complicated, especially because we're going to be putting this in multiple different levels. I think the best way for us to attack this would be to attach the front here on and then work on the left side and then work on the right side. So let's do that. I got that one in. You know, the way I did that was actually just using my detail tweezers to kind of help me get it in there. I understand that not everyone has detail tweezers, but man, they are wicked. Okay, now that we got these tabs in here, what I'm doing is I'm securing the front ones just to make everything a little bit easier for myself. And again, what I'm doing is I'm putting as much pressure as I can to really make sure that I'm grabbing as much of the tab in my tweezers as possible before I'm bending them. I can't really tell you enough how important that is for a good tight connection with all of your pieces. There we go. Basically it's going around in a circle here and then putting these tabs one by one. You know, really, there's like a point here, and when you get to it, once you get the tabs in the right spot, everything just kind of clicks in the right area. And we are so close. See? Everything went right in the right spot. That's amazing. Okay, now we can go and we can really get these tabs secured in place. There we go. And then bend this guy back here. Great. Awesome. That looks so good. I mean, really, look at this Titanic. It's coming along so well. Okay, before I get too carried away, we're entering the harder part of this build, and that is the masts. Let's go ahead and take a look at them real quickly. First thing you'll notice is that we actually have to create two parts together. So that's part 29 here and part 28. And we're going to take these guys and we're going to insert them in the back. Now, if you can't do it this way, you could put part 29 onto the ship and then secure 28 on top of it. That would be a very easy way of doing this. But I'm going to try to do it all together. There we go. That's one mast on. Now we're going to do the back one. It's very simple to do. Go ahead and grab this again. And rather than struggle, we're just going to go ahead and put on the normal one. There we go. Takes a little bit of finessing there, but we got her in. Okay, let's go ahead and connect these pieces here first, just because they're in. Very cool, very cool. Now the next piece we need to put on is part 31. I'm actually not going to do that piece right now because that piece is a little bit finicky. And if we do that before putting all the other bits of detail that we need to put on, we run the risk of accidentally bending it or making these masks even a little bit rickety, which if you wanted to wait and put these on to the very end, that actually might be a good idea. Now let's go ahead and work on the next couple of pieces, which is part 32 and 33. Now, like before, we're going to do some cylinders, and I'm going to show you guys how to do one, and then we're going to fast forward to where they're basically all complete. Now, just like before, we take our little doming tool here, or sorry, correction, our cylinder tool, going all the way around, making sure we bend every piece of the metal, just like that. Excellent. And now we're going to bring this over and through. Okay. Now that we got that on there, if we want to, we can kind of like bend it a little bit more by pressing it into our tool here and getting that nice rounded shape. Very neat. Now we grab one of these guys here, and what we're going to do is make a little cap. Bend that over. Bend that over. Awesome. Straight. And right back down. There we go. And that is one of ours complete. Now, if you don't want to, you don't have to actually attach it to the cylinder first. You could actually bend this piece up top first, which is part 32, before attaching it to part 33, and that might be a little bit easier to get that last tab in there. Okay, let's put this guy down here. We need to go ahead and form 6 more of these, so let's fast forward to where they're already complete. Okay, there we go, our last one all complete. Those aren't too difficult, but now we need to attach them all onto our ship. This should be pretty easy too. If you're having a hard time with these, just remember, you can always bend one tab and the other one straight, and that will keep everything Pretty simple for you. If you're having a hard time also, just make sure that you have a good cylinder going on. If it looks like an egg shape like this one does, well, that could be your problem. Little bend there. Okay. And there we go. There's our first one. Now we do the other one here on the other side. Okay, and there are all of our stacks on. You know, it's a little bit trickier than you might think to be able to put all those on, especially with their very delicate tops. But now that we have those all on, we can put the back piece on here. This back piece was just basically a giant square, or giant rectangle. So it was pretty easy to bend, and I didn't think that we need to see another rectangle being bent on camera, so I went ahead and did this already. If you guys ever have any questions of anything that we're building here, just leave a comment down below, and I'll do my best to get back to you on it. And there we go, nice and attached. Okay. Now the next piece we're going to be putting on is part 36, and I've gone ahead and bent this one, but the best way to do this is just to grab your tweezers and bend it right down the middle. Now these guys here are going to be a little trickier to get into place, so we're going to go ahead and pre-bend these tabs ever so slightly, and this should help us get everything in place. There we go. There we go. Very cool. That looks great. And now we need to do the other side here, and I'll show you how I do this one here again. So again, we go right to the piece here, right to the middle, and then what we're going to do is just push like that. There we go. And now we're going to slightly bend these tabs just like that. And now we're going to attempt to put it into place. There we go. Nice and fitted. Let's get that guy a little bit more secured in there. Just going to press these tabs a little bit more. Excellent. There we go. That looks great. Now that we've got that piece in, we need to go to part 37. Part 37 is pretty simple as well. All it is just a nice little trip around the back here. Just do little bends, just like that. And what we're also going to do is we're going to bend these guys down just ever so slightly. Excellent. Now, you'll see the little guys around the top here, and those guys get married around just like this. Right here. There we go. Another little burr there. I'm surprised I didn't see this one earlier. There we go. Oops. Now I folded both of those down, so we're going to keep it the same. And finally, the last part. All we need to do is connect this little back area. Now, a lot of people complain about how hard this is to do, and I'm not going to lie, it's a little bit tricky. But if we do a little bit of prep, we can make this a lot easier on ourselves. So what we're going to do first is we're going to pop these little tabs here out. I should say blah, blah, blah. The first thing we're going to do is pop these little tabs here, and we're going to just pop them by pushing them in. Okay, and once we get that started, we can grab them from the other side. So let's just do that. And like I said, we're going to grab them from the other side. Okay, and we want to grab as much of the tab in our tweezers as possible, like always. Then what we're going to do is we're going to give this a little bit of a love bend. And what I mean by that is we're just going to kind of give it a suggestion. We're not going to create a hot spot, but we are going to just keep bending this a little bit. Just saying, hey, you know, you want to kind of go this way. Same thing here, just kind of keep suggesting. Say, hey, you know, you might really like it. You never know. You might really enjoy this direction. Bum ba da bum ba da bum ba da bum ba da bum ba ba ba. Now, when we bring them together, we can take a look at the bottom here, and we can kind of see how in the bend we need to go a little bit more. So I am basically pressing on the Titanic as I go. And I just want these guys to marry up a little bit better. Okay, tie that up a little bit. And awesome. Now we can attach the all-important flags. Now, the way that I'm going to do this is I'm going to bend this one this way. And I'm going to bend this one this way. Okay? Now, let's do it like this. Very cool. Alrighty, Groovers. That's it. We have our Titanic. And that looks awesome. I mean, look at all that detail. Especially with that little bit of top. I mean, yes, it's simple. Oh, wait. That's right. We got to go back to our very first 2 tabs. And we got to bend them right. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's take this guy and bend him right over. And there we go. Our Titanic, all complete.